Hello and welcome to this week's crypto update. So what's happening this week? Well, number one, Bitcoin seems to be going sideways. Number two, the stock market had a deep shock and more of the big players are coming for more Bitcoin. Let's have a look. So, what would the weekly update be without starting with Michael Saylor's MicroStrategy, 12 weeks in a row, back for more Bitcoin, 1.1 billion this time. At today's prices, they have a holding worth over 48 billion, unrealized profits of nearly 18 billion. Strategy certainly seems to be working, and of course their Japanese counterpart, Metaplanet, who we've mentioned many times as well, they've announced a major buying strategy over the next 2 years. The plan is to raise 740 million through shares warrants to buy an initial target of another 10,000 Bitcoin. It's incredible, just an unbelievable ongoing buying spree. I asked before the end of the year, were MicroStrategy going to continue doing this over the long term, or would they get to a point where they'd be a pause for a while, and what would happen to the market during that point? Well, it doesn't appear that's going to happen anytime soon. It's week after week. Like I say, 12 weeks in a row now. And we see these other companies buying too. We're starting to see other companies, governments, institutions, more and more people talking about buying into Bitcoin now and having it as a strategic reserve. We see here the Czech Central Bank proposes putting 5% of their net cash on hand into Bitcoin, which comes to 7 billion. That's been voted on this coming week, so they're not hanging around. So yeah, like the head of the Czech Central Bank wants to buy billions of euros in Bitcoin. It's just unbelievably bullish. We also see here a total of 14 US states have introduced the Bitcoin bill so far. There's no stopping it. So we have, again, biggest companies in the world and more talking about doing this. The biggest, we have the 14 states in the US doing this. We have central banks doing this. We see here ETFs haven't stopped either. There's been another 1.9 billion net inflows this week. As you'd expect, the majority of that is in Bitcoin, 1.59 billion. But I believe, interestingly, and this has been happening for a few weeks, Ethereum, another 204 million. Now, obviously, it's not the same size number, but also bear in mind its market cap is significantly smaller than Bitcoin. And so you would have to imagine at some point scarcity will come into the equation with Ethereum. And if the narrative around Ethereum were to change, we really could see some momentum gaining there. So interesting there. And we see Ripple also, or XRP, selling. On top of that, we see the stablecoin market. So since the US election in 24, the stablecoin market has been exploding, partly going straight up. November 5th, 24, the stablecoin market was 33.66 billion. Capital is flooding in now, and because of that, it's increasing really rapidly. So it's increased by 33 billion. What does this mean? Well, stablecoins are the liquidity of crypto. The more liquidity, high chance this is going to go up. So it's extremely bullish all around. And of course, we have Bitcoin holdings by country. And of course, we know the US have over 207,000. Chinese are next with 194,000. One with over 20 billion value, one with over 19 billion value. Next up there, you have, Bhutan, a really small country, but they have been mining Bitcoin for quite a few years using their excess hydro energy. I think really interestingly here, we see Ukraine have 4.5 billion in Bitcoin. Here's the country at war, getting huge funding in from the US, but they can still manage to put together a Bitcoin reserve. Interesting. But in general, we can see 9 countries here that have very much a strategy of holding what they have, and most are buying more. And we're seeing more and more countries now being interested in doing the same. So it's all just hugely bullish news. So who's buying all the Bitcoin? And of course, if there's buyers, there must be sellers. Well, here's a chart. The blue line is non-whole coin holders. In other words, people with a Bitcoin or less, or just less than a Bitcoin, anywhere from a really tiny amount all the way up to just under 1. And then you have the pink line, which is anyone with 1 Bitcoin or more. And look what has happened since we went to around the all-time high points. You can see here that the blue line has started selling, and the pink line continued buying even harder. What does that mean for us? Well, since the start of 25, the divide is clear. Bitcoin holders that own less than 1 whole Bitcoin are selling. They're taking profits. While Bitcoiners with more than 1 Bitcoin are buying. What's happening? Small holders are cashing out. They've bought it in earlier time. They're taking their money, their profits off the table, while larger investors are doubling down. Same as always, small guy panics, whales profit. Patience is key here, and focus on what you want to do. So the other big news, of course, during the week was DeepSeek. So DeepSeek is an AI model. It's come out of China, and it has really put the cat amongst the pigeons, as they might say, in the stock market. Because if you look at the Magnificent Seven, they're all based around AI and the promise of creating huge value by investing usually in AI. And so what DeepSeek is, it's a competitor to the likes of OpenAI or ChatGPT. But the thing is, they claim to have made the model that they have for $10 million. This is an absolute pittance in comparison to the money that has been put into other companies that they're competing against. OpenAI raised just under 18 billion. So how could they possibly have done this? And what's more, it's believed by the people that have tested the models now that DeepSeek is as good in certain areas and better in other areas. So what does this mean? Well, now investors in the Magnificent Seven, and particularly the likes of Nvidia, would be going, why are these valued so highly when these guys can create something for just 10 million? And so there was a significant pullback in the stock market when this news came out. Nvidia dropped by 20%, dropping its value by 570 billion, the biggest drop ever for any company. But since then, it's steadied off. And I think people are trying to see how true and how accurate is this information. But it certainly has made the whole thing very interesting. Is it good? I personally believe it's good for crypto, and certainly crypto AI overall. Why would that be? Well, the smaller guys in crypto now, if this is all true, they have a chance, because raising that sort of money is very feasible. Up till now, people that wanted to play in the big leagues had to raise many billions. So this sort of democratizes the possibilities of AI very strongly. And on top of all of that, it creates doubt around the Magnificent Seven. The Magnificent Seven were the vast majority of the rise of the S&P last year, which was 26%, so brilliant returns, was gained through the Magnificent Seven. Were they to have a significant pullback, the whole stock market, you would imagine, will have a particular pullback. But the key here is the elements of doubt have been sown. And if that were to happen, people who are allocating funds may go, maybe it's time now to stop allocating more funds to the Magnificent Seven, or even start taking it out. Where else are they going to look? Well, if they're looking for sort of safe haven stuff, they might look to the likes of treasuries. They might look to gold and silver, which of course has been increasing even more so than the stock market did last year. But also, many will look to the likes of Bitcoin. So for me, my overall thought process at this stage is this on Bitcoin and the overall market. I believe we are now facing, and there's absolute uncertainty around this. Many people are talking about a bull run. Maybe it's already over. Maybe it'll finish in April. Maybe it'll finish in September. Maybe it'll be the end of the year. I'm now starting to believe that this actually could be what has been touted on a number of occasions, which is this sort of super cycle idea, or at least that it'll stretch on for longer than general we've seen in the past cycles. Why? Because there's more buyers and continuously more huge buyers coming in to buy Bitcoin. So even while some people will take their profits along the way, some of the buyers are buying in, and they're looking at it from a 3, 5, 10, 20 year idea of buying and holding. So there's going to be more and more of it bought up by very big money, increasing the price. And I think this can potentially delay the cycle from Bitcoin then into the major caps, minor caps and low caps over time. So it could stretch out the overall time frame of how all this happens. If that is the case, what that would and should lead to is a longer period of time for people to take their positionings within crypto, the potential for some significant pullbacks along the way, but also when it becomes true altcoin season, it has the potential to be bigger than we've ever seen before. So are we all bullish enough? Who knows? Again, take care. Crypto is extremely risky. Make sure you do research on the projects that interest you, and make sure you don't miss out. There is unbelievable opportunity. Just to finish, have the stock market suddenly decide, okay, we shouldn't really be investing in AI anymore. DeepSeek have ruined it for everybody. Well, this is a very recent update on the spending in AI by the major big tech AI-fueled companies. And here's their capital expenditure. You can see here, every quarter since 2020, it's been pretty much going upwards, starting from 20 billion. You can see here the end of 22 was up as far as 40 billion, dipped slightly for first couple of quarters in 23, but still at 35 billion a quarter. It's gone over 40 billion at the end of last year, the end of 23, and the first 3 months are in here for 24, and we're upcoming to hit 60 billion a quarter. And if you've been looking at the news, you can see the likes of Meta and Google and all these are talking about spending 40, 50, 60, 100 billion over the next couple of years. So it doesn't look like this AI train is stopping anytime soon. And of course, there's huge connection into the crypto space. So a lot going on, usually exciting, I believe, for the long term. Of course, there can be pullbacks along the way, dollar cost average in whenever you find a project that you like. And in the main, be patient. And, don't sell out in the dips. Be patient, take your time, but don't miss out. On that, finally, I'd like to say, make sure to be on our call tomorrow morning, 10:30 UK time. We are giving a full overview of WOW, and it's open to the public. We want to show people now what we're all about. With that, hope you're all keeping well. Have a great weekend. We'll talk to you all very soon.